as I struggle with a classroom with kids from all over the world, 5, 6, 7, 8 languages, different ethnic backgrounds, different challenges coming from home. This is part of what a teacher struggles with when you come into school. How do you bring these kids together and get them working together and get them settled and get them to be a little classroom organism? I consulted with some of my peers, people in different practices, specifically with a friend of mine who's a drummer who does drumming in Oakland, and he suggested that I bring movement and rhythm into my classroom. And he said if I brought 3 minutes of movement into my classroom, it would unify my kids, ground them, center them, create community, and he said I would have them eating out of my hands in 3 minutes. So I said, okay, what have I got to lose? So I brought this strategy into my classroom, and the first day I came in, I gave them a simple movement to do, and I had them doing this rhythm for 3 minutes, set the timer, and at the end of 3 minutes, the kids had come together, they'd settled, they had gotten quiet, they were focused, and they gave me their attention in a way that I had never experienced before. I took it a step further and I thought, how can I take this rhythm activity as a classroom management tool to open my classroom up and further integrate it into a teaching moment, because with only 55 minutes, 3 minutes is a large percentage of my teaching day. So I thought, wow, how can I take movement and rhythm and integrate it with science? So I had a conversation with the kids and I said, wow, how can we make this fit with what we're teaching? And we thought about inventing movements that expressed the concepts that we were teaching, that they were learning and that I was teaching in the classroom at the time. So the kids and I began to develop movements that integrated rhythm, integrated movement, and began to express the principles that we were teaching in the classroom at the time. And we developed a chant, a dance that we called the magnetism electricity dance. After several weeks of teaching magnetism electricity, using the 3 minutes at the beginning of the class as a way to bring them together as a classroom management tool, and bringing the principles in and teaching them through movement, repetition, rhythm, and dance, they learned these very subtle principles of magnetism and electricity and electromagnetism, circuits and series circuits, and they all succeeded at the end of the unit test. It was so exciting to see kids learning it in their bodies. I told them before the test, I said, now you know all of this in your body. You're going to know it for the rest of your life. All you have to do is remember the song. It's all in there. And they did. I saw them in the test doing their movements and thinking their song, and then I graded the tests and they all succeeded. And it was a very quantitative moment to see that I had data to prove the fact that this little 3-minute rhythmic movement bring the curriculum in through acting and through moving it out really works. And I saw them on the playground doing the movements. They would come running into me, Miss Saura, we made up a new movement. Can we try it? Can we put it in the class? They would bring me out to the playground so they could show me their movements that they had invented on the playground. So not only did it help teach them in the classroom, but they got so inspired and excited that they were out running around the school doing our magnetism electricity movements, showing the other kids, showing the principal. It was fun. They had a great time. It took learning out of the classroom and made it a very dynamic, exciting, interactive, creative experience. We created a movement called the rock cycle round, and we took a piece of the 4th grade curriculum where the children learn the rock cycle, which is the idea that rocks are continuously cycling through these 3 different forms of rocks. And we put it to this particular song, and most of the children knew it, and the ones that didn't picked it up very quickly. The first one is sedimentary, sedimentary, igneous, igneous, metamorphic, metamorphic, rocks, 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 rocks. So through tying the three parts of the rock cycle to this childhood song, the kids quickly and easily remembered the three stages of the rock cycle. So right away, through tying it to the song, they could tell me that there was sedimentary, igneous, and metamorphic rocks. And then we tied the movements to it, and the movements express how the different kinds of rocks are formed. Sedimentary rocks, particles settle into the water and they pack over time. So we have sedimentary and then the particles packing. Igneous rocks come from the melted rock deep in the earth, and it usually comes out as magma. So we created a movement where a plate goes under another plate deep into the core of the earth, and it melts and then it erupts. Igneous, melting rocks. Metamorphic rocks go deep into the earth. They don't melt, but they get affected by heat and pressure, and they transform. So we created another movement, metamorphic, heat and pressure transforming, rocks, 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 rocks. So that was the third verse, was the kind of rocks. And then we added a fourth verse with examples of the rocks. So once the kids learned the rock cycle round, they knew the fundamental elements of the rock cycle, and they knew it through movement, through acting out the rock cycle, and through tying it through this mnemonic device to their childhood song. And they knew the rock cycle. It was beautiful, easy, fun. They had a great time. It tied in the classroom management piece because it brought them together. I give it a couple of minutes at the beginning of every class, 3 minutes of movement, of rhythm, of bringing them together in this chant. The chant's teaching the principles that they're to be learning at that part of our curriculum, and the movements are expressing it. On top of that, the movements are balancing the left and the right side of the brain. I intentionally create movements that cross the midlines so that we're creating new connections. Movements that the children bring their bodies in is a settling movement, movements that express their bodies out and they open up to move their energy out and balance their nervous system. So through integrating these different kinds of movements, they're acting out the story of the principles they're learning, remembering it through the mnemonic device of their childhood songs or whatever song that we come up with, and balancing and regulating the nervous system. And as this settles and brings them into the classroom, it serves as a classroom management tool as well. One day when I said, okay, stand up, let's do our mindful rhythm movements, this one little boy, he'll always run right to the front of the class and stand right in front of me because he loves to be the center of the mindful rhythm movements. He gets so excited. There's another boy on another particular day who had a hard time settling in, and you'll see that as the kids are doing the movements, he's doing opposite movements. He was, having one of those contrary days. And as the couple of minutes goes by, you'll see him start to settle in and sink in with the other kids, and at the end of these 3 minutes of movements, you see him sink in and become unified with the rest of the class. So it really works to help bring us all into rhythm with one another and settle in as a classroom. As a way for the kids to experience these very subtle, difficult to see principles, I was astounded at how deeply they understood the principles when they acted them out. So not only is it a great classroom management strategy and a community building tool, it is a wonderful way to illustrate very, very subtle and invisible principles of science to young children and children of all ages.